To pray, there's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
I'm not too sure what to do. They tried to kill me. Again. This world is ugly, but I will survive. I hope. They're trying to stop my powers from completely returning. However, they can't do that. I just become more resistant, more resilient. So they tried to kill me again. Humanity. Just as disgusting as whenever I tried leaving the first time. Back then. I'm not sure if I can actually classify that as time, though. To me, I remember every single day, every single second. Everything down to the attosecond. If an immortal were to live out their lifetime, live out the beginning of the universe to the end, it would be over. They would live out the entire life and death of the universe in the amount of time it takes a person to blink. Yet, I've lived it. Am I actually crazy? Shit. Maybe. But at least I'm the only one who remembers the hero. And my mother. All Might. In Commodoria. So, let's make sure that that stays the same way. I will bring them back. I will put myself back together. I will make my timeline whole again. Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Midoriya, he has met his father. And surprise, surprise, he also met Bakugo, and saw someone new. Apparently this timeline isn't very different. There are only a few slight changes. And Midoriya is confused about the changes that he has seen. As he is at the hospital, going over the events in his mind. His dad, he has a different wife. Someone took his place in the timeline. Some young girl. And there's the fact that Bakugo doesn't know him. So not only does he not exist, All Might does not exist either. Does the villain exist? Shit. Probably not. I shouldn't really worry about that for now. What I need to focus on is getting out of here. And finding proof. That picture was one of the only things I had that even remotely showed she existed. So what do? I need to go deeper. I need to find out more. Now, Midoriya's thought is interrupted whenever Dr. Bright walks into the room and tries to talk with Midoriya. Simply trying to ask exactly how did he know where that young man was, where he and his family lived. Midoriya not really saying a thing, as the doctor goes on saying that that man is Hisashi Higgs. That confusing Midoriya to hear. That's not his dad's last name. Midoriya is just looking at the man confused, as the man simply just says that that man, he has an office job. Along with that, his wife, she actually does work in the same law firm. Or, well, she works as part of the law firm. I'm not too sure. We didn't really get a lot of information. Her job is very private. However, then there's the fact that you found him. Exactly who is that man to you? Midoriya not saying a word. Before, they simply just say that he needs to be honest with them. He needs to come clean. Midoriya just saying that if he tries to even say what happened, then they would consider him to be crazy. as they just say that that is not the case. As Midoriya just asks one simple question. If that's the case, then why did they lobotomize him? Dr. Bright not saying a single word, simply just staring back at Midoriya for a second, as he just says that they did no such thing. They would not do something to a patient. That violates multiple codes of conduct, especially with our vow to save people's lives. Really then. Because from what you've told me, my father has a very busy job. And, surprise, surprise, that man is my father. I'm sorry? Your name is Izuku. Yes, Izuku Midoriya. And I'm just kind of curious now, how did you get that information? Let alone, how did you know that man? Did you try finding him once? No, well, I don't have to explain myself to you. Now, we are going to give you your medicine, and then I need to go talk to a few people. Now, Midoriya, he doesn't fight against it. The time for him to be able to use his quirk is getting shorter, and he takes his medicine. The doctors, they never brought up the fact that he used his quirk. It just seems like he told the orderly something and they went running down the hall. There wasn't really a camera down that hallway, so they couldn't see if he was the one screaming or not. The only thing they can really tell was someone was. And the man seemed to be very panicky. Now, that being said, let us cut over to Dr. Bright, Dr. Chloe, and a few others. They are currently talking about this young boy, and they are trying to figure all this out. The young boy found a man. In fact, they brought the man in for questioning and actually asked him about the conversation. The man said that the young boy said that he was his son, along with giving him this picture, to which he promptly turned it over to them, wanting to ask more questions, before simply being told that this was simply a mistake and an accident, being given an excuse that there was a villain who murdered the boy's mother, making up a lie that the man who killed Midoriya's mother used Hasashi's face. It would disturb Hasashi thinking about that, but yeah. Hearing that the boy is in a mental hospital kind of does make more sense. The boy doesn't remember it, he just simply wants to find his father. He does not know what reason, however. Hasashi thinking that that paints a target on his back, before at least being told that they have the boy back into the hospital, and they're going to make sure that they have proper security monitoring him at all times. Now, with that being said, Midoriya is simply just waiting and staying in his room as he begins to use his quirk, testing it out more. Now, Midoriya, he is simply trying to use it. His ability to turn the coin into different pieces of metal, yeah, he can only do that about 5 times in an hour. So, he's mainly just been working on trying to build that, along with actually trying something that was a bit more difficult. It leaves him at least unable to use his quirk for 3 hours, but he is able to duplicate the coin, create it, create another one. It is kind of winding, but it doesn't really leave him to exhaust it. Now, he's mainly just been doing this for the next month, as he is still trying to work on it. His body has been getting stronger, since Midoriya is constantly using his abilities anytime he is awake. And his body is becoming more and more resistant to this quirk suppressant drug. Now, Midoriya is not too sure how much of an immunity he has built up to it, but the hospital, they've been keeping him on 24/7 monitoring. So anytime he's outside of his room, he does not use his abilities. They only make sure that he gets to his room. There are no windows. He can barely ever see any light coming in. I guess you could say it's more or less like a steel plate that looks like a window. They completely covered it. Now, Midoriya, he is told today that they are going to be running a bit of a test. They want to see exactly what their theory can provide, and any information. Midoriya being told that he's going to have to give a little bit of blood, to which he can't really say no to, as he sort of extends out his arm after rolling up his sleeve, simply asking exactly what are they going to be doing, or if they're testing for something. The doctors all sort of just staring at each other, before one simply says that they were given authority to run a blood test. What sort of test? Well, it's a DNA test, really. As Dr. Chloe begins to say, whenever he found that man, that was the same man that was in his picture. They've been trying to look for that man. It's sort of, well, her trying to think of a good way to say it. Before Dr. Bright simply just says that it is sort of a bit of a weird thing. Young boy, there is no evidence of you ever existing. What? Midoriya trying to sound surprised. Whenever they found him, there was no record of him. There was only a few things. The boy barely knew his name. And, in fact, he was very, very, very messed up. Now, they don't go into detail as to what happened. They just leave it at he seemed more or less traumatized and in a state of shock. Now, after they get Midoriya's blood, they test it against Hasashi's. He gave blood because he wasn't too sure as to what to handle the situation as. More or less being told that they will pay him to stay in contact with him. To which he didn't really refuse. This is a little bit of extra money in pockets. And they kinda need all that they can get. Hasashi has to work a lot of hours, and so does his wife. They mainly just more or less work until they're tired, then go to sleep and repeat the process. And with their daughter going to UA, yeah. They're not sure what kind of expenses they're going to have to be going through, so they've just been saving up money. Now, Hasashi's blood is a match, genetic-wise. And this does confuse the doctors. This young boy is this man's son. However, his birthday and his age match up exactly with the other man's child, the man's daughter. So, this is confusing. Thinking of it as somewhat of an odd coincidence. Now, they, more or less, are told by their superiors that they have run out of time, and that the subject may be able to use his abilities once again. So, they've gotten a lot of information out of him, and more or less necessarily what they've needed. They found their test subjects, Hasashi Midoriya. Now, they go on to explain that they want to take him in. If this young boy does have the ability to warp and mess with reality, like they have seen before in the past, then that means that this man, his genetics, might be the secrets. They do, however, just need to find out the other side of it. Since Madison's DNA was not a match for this boy's, meaning that the boy has a different mother. Now, this is odd, and it is actually quite peculiar, as they then give an order. The boy, his abilities, need to be further studied, so they must perform the lobotomy once again. However, this time they're going to need to use different methods. Scramble most of the boy's brain, not just the frontal lobe. And if they need to, they might need to remove the brain stem. More or less, a brain in a jar scenario. That way they can study the body. Now, the doctors, yeah, they are quite hesitant on this. In fact, Dr. Bright was the only one who was really just straight up, that is against our protocol. While the other doctors wanted to quit the operation, quit the project, the monitoring of this young boy. They will not kill him. They will not perform some sadistic surgery in order to just further their own research. That is too far over the line. Now, with that being said, Dr. Chloe and the other doctor are relieved of their duties of looking after this young boy, and they will be reassigned in the next oncoming weeks. Now, with that being said, Dr. Bright, he is the only one who will stay on this operation and on this project. So, he is the one they are going to have perform the surgery. Now, Chloe, she doesn't really agree with a lot of this. In fact, she's gonna have to warn this young boy. Now, with that being said, the next day, Midoriya, he is in his room, and there is a knock on his door. As the coin which he has floating above his hand, as a liquid states, simply turns back, and drops into his hand. Him quickly closing his hand and putting the coin in his pocket before opening his door. Asking exactly what is it, and what is going on. To which she goes on saying that he is in quite a bit of danger, and that she would like to discuss it, as she closes the door behind her, and holds up a syringe. Midoriya actually backing up and saying that it is not time for his medicine. To which she goes on saying that she understands the situation. Now listen to me, young boy. This is not medicine. This is something we use to take away your abilities. And, to be honest, I'm sorry. My superiors are going too far over the line this time. They don't care. They are going to kill you. What? Yes, now listen to me, quickly. This I've emptied. I've replaced with something else. This is nothing more than a simple vitamin shot. they're going to give it to you, and they're going to think it's going to knock you out. So you must pretend to be dead or unresponsive to anything, okay? Yeah, sure. Listen, I've dumped out quite a lot of the other medicines they've had, the things that they pump into your system. You're going to need to use your abilities and get out of here. Just go somewhere far away. They're going to try and study you, make more of you. Yeah, sorry. They can't. What? Yeah. Sorry to say this, Dr. Chloe. My abilities are back. That's not possible. Well, as Midoriya pulls out the coin and has it floating above his hand, simply just saying that he's become more or less resistant to their drugs, and his abilities have been getting stronger and steadily growing, just like an actual quirk. It makes more sense from what he experienced in his other lifetimes. Lifetimes? Yes, Doctor. You see, I'm not too sure if they were real, or if they were fake. But, truthfully, I can remember every second of them. Some of them are starting to get blurry. I'm not sure if that's because this is reality and those were all fake, or they were simply just memories, or just part of my imagination, my subconscious, from whenever I was brain dead. But, I am over 35,000 years old. Probably not actually, but I remember that long, that much time passing. You and Dr. Bright are the only things I've seen from a different world that are here. And, hopefully, this idea I have works. What is your idea? Well, let's just say you don't want to be anywhere near the hospital when it goes down. Okay. Now, if you do get out of here, I'm going to leave you a change of clothes in the alleyway, along with a few $100s, okay? Okay. Thank you, Doctor. No, thank you. Actually, looking over you, I've considered you to actually be interesting. In fact, I actually saw you as a bit of a son, since I couldn't have any children of my own. Ah, well, Doctor, I'm happy then. Now, Midoriya does actually ask her a question. Where is she going to go after this? To which she doesn't really say anything. Simply just thinking that she will have to go on the run too. So, that's going to be difficult. Now, Midoriya then does ask a question. If she's going to go on the run, then he'll probably see her again one day. If he ever does take down these people who are trying to create more of him, she will have to meet him somewhere. Okay? Promise. Now, they talk about it for a little bit of time, before she simply does leave. And Midoriya is eventually given his medicine over the next few weeks. The fakes, as he begins to feel his system refill with his quirk, his ability to use it, and somewhat actually find out about it. Now, it is different, however. Instead of him having his full-blown abilities, he can't really manipulate anything outside of a space of around roughly 10 feet in front of him. That is his limit. Now, it isn't as flashy as his full-blown abilities, but hey, he'll take it. As he is one day given a form of medicine, which he is told will knock him out. Him pretending to be asleep, and being brought in for surgery, as the doctors begin to put a mask on him, As soon as they put the oxygen mask on Midoriya, he immediately just lurches upwards and looks up as the mask begins to burn off of his face, along with the cloth covering him. The doctors and everyone around him completely confused. Dr. Bright going to attack him with a surgical tool, to which, as soon as he makes contact with Midoriya's skin, the tool simply presses forwards, beginning to melt before simply turning into a liquid, and running down both him and Midoriya's skin. As Midoriya stands up on his feet and looks around the room with glows, simply just telling the doctor that his idea worked. So, Dr. Bright, I'm sorry. As Midoriya simply holds his hand outwards and covers the man with quite a bit of fire, and dwell this ability. It is a bit extreme, as the doctor then goes on saying, as he is burned, that this is far too impossible. The medicine should have kept him in check. As Midoriya simply spins and blasts lava or fire onto these other men, before running out of the room, busting the doors off the hinges and running down the street, or down the hall, as he simply just brings his hands up and smashes straight through the cement wall, flying down 4 stories, before smashing into a car, standing up and running to the location where the doctor gave him clothes. Midoriya putting them on, socks, shoes, jeans, and a jacket with a hood. Midoriya putting it on, and then turning off his ability. It was beginning to get a bit harder to breathe, and it was a bit extreme. However, hopefully he can get away and keep himself hidden as he begins to walk down the street. The people who are coming after him directly run straight by him, not paying attention. Now, Midoriya, for anyone who's confused by this ability, if anyone has ever seen Iron Man 3, this picture reminded me of the Extremis virus, which I remembered as being very, very cool. And I really actually saw a way to cameo it here. So I wanted to do that. If you guys do want to see that as an actual what if, then yeah, I can put it on my list. In fact, there was actually something else I was gonna cameo, but that's another time. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.